Hey, what's going on, everybody? Movie Fan in here, and yes, it's Saturday, and it is time for the Movie Fam's horror review. This week, I'm still going through the list that the 13th Wolfman has provided me. So here we go. We got Bride of Frankenstein and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that horribly, but Earl Caligari. So there we go. Nice classic double feature there. Alright, let's start off with Bride of Frankenstein. Now, I'll be honest with you, the first time I watched Bride of Frankenstein, which for anyone you don't know the plot, basically, after the events of part 1, Dr. Frankenstein survives, and he decides to put all that mad scientist stuff behind him. However, there is another professor, and he decides that, nope, we're not putting it behind you, because I have created, I don't know how, or I don't even explain, but he creates little people, and he's just like, I want to create, a race of, monsters like you did. He don't use the word monsters, but, that's what he's talking. And he's like, and we will make a mate for Frankenstein. And then, of course, Frankenstein's monster, or sorry, I made Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein's monster, of course, not dead. The original Jason Voorhees, if you will, fucking comes back and starts kicking some ass. Kills 2 people right off the bat. Just like literally drowns one dude and pulls a woman into the abyss, the dark abyss that was his supposed to be his tomb. And so, anyways, that's the whole plot. They're basically going to try to re-kickstart that. First time I watched it, I'll be honest with you, was not huge on it. I think I went over this recently with my top 3. I did Universal or movies from the Universal Monsterverse, if you will, and wasn't huge on it. I mean, my main gripe with it was, this is called Bride of Frankenstein, and I've seen tons of clips over the years. In fact, it's a very popular movie. Weird Science, Bride of Chucky, just any countdown you ever watch on TV, or when you watch a video on YouTube talking about the best horror movies of all time, Bride of Frankenstein's usually on there. So I was like, all right, Bride of Frankenstein. And then my main complaint with it was, maybe this is just, this is stupid, I guess, but I don't know, it's just, if I'm being real with you guys, is the fact that I was waiting for Bride of Frankenstein. Like, the whole movie, I'm like, where was the bride at? And she shows up for like 10, spoiler alert, 10 minutes at the end of the movie. That's it. Hisses, and then Frankenstein's monster's like, fuck this, and just blows the place up. The end. That's it. That's how. And I was just like, so fucking like, what? Like, I was wanting to see like both of them kick some ass. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess that's retarded to think that way, but I was expecting like this ridiculous monster fun with, Frankenstein's monster and the bride just hanging out, or even like go more ridiculous like this, then like getting domesticated. Fucking go monsters with it, just like have them like hanging out. I don't know, but I was initially disappointed. So when I went back to review this one, kind of had that mindset already. I was like, you know what, Phantom, take it for what it is and just, give it a straight review. And I will say, the second time I watched it, it was much better. It really was. I think the title was very misleading for the movie itself. I would have much rather returned like Frankenstein Returns, or, The Revenge of Frankenstein, or something ridiculous like that. But no, we get Bride of Frankenstein. And she literally makes a 10-minute appearance. This takes place, this picks up immediately. Well, initially there's a little framing to it. There's, in the very beginning we get Mary Shelley and a couple other dudes, Lord Byron, I forget who the third guy is. But, it's a rainy night, and much just like, the origins of the actual Frankenstein novel, just a bunch of friends get together and decide to, tell stories or whatnot. And so she, she's like, well, here's a follow-up to, the story I published last time. And so we go right into... it literally right as, like, the castle or whatever, the barn, or the fuck it was in last time, crumbles down, the town people have all gathered there, and of course, Frankenstein rises from the rubble. And of course, they don't see it, most town people left, but like one guy, he's down there, and he gets fucking drowned by Frankenstein, and he drags that one woman in there, and it starts his little rampage. Now this time, I have noticed they definitely, because initially, especially in the first one, he wasn't really evil, he was just a misunderstood creature. But here you can clearly tell they definitely wanted your sympathies to be more with the, the monster. Whereas last time I think the central character was definitely the Dr. Frankenstein. Sorry, just getting scatterbrained here. But no, so you're this time around, it seems like Dr. Frankenstein just gets kicked to the side, and like every scene you see him in, he's just a whiny little bitch. Like every fucking scene is just him crying and. I'm still terrified, and oh my god. Like, this is the guy who like bravely decided like what's in the unknown. Let's figure it out. Let's spit in God's face and fuck it, I am God, and I'm gonna, make light. And then, like, he does, and he's like, oh no, I made a mistake, I'm gonna cry. He does, like, half the movie is just him in bed, just whining. Ridiculous. But luckily, he's not in that much. We focus more on the monster, and I definitely like it, because I feel like, as with any sequel, your job is not just to basically retell what has already happened, it's to, build upon the original story. And here we go deeper into the monster. Like, he definitely shows more emotion, he's more fleshed out, as you can say. One of my favorite scenes is as he's on the run. He comes across a cabin in the woods, and there's a blind man in there playing violin. And it's like the first time Frankenstein's monsters, he's heard music, and the monster's just like, my God, it's great. And he shows like how human he really is. Like, granted, yes, he is a stitched together science project, but he is stitched together from humans. Who's to say what is human and what isn't? And I think he shows a very human side in this. Comical as it is, maybe even a little cheesy, but like, he's eating bread, he's drinking wine, smoking like a pipe or a cigar or whatever, and he's just enjoying himself. He's just he's liking it. And I really love those scenes, and I just love that. It's like he's not the villain of this movie. Like, he wasn't really supposed to be the villain last time, but still, yeah, he was still kind of like the monster everybody's freaking out about. And here it seems like more like the townspeople are definitely the villains, and they show up to, ruin the good time. They capture his ass, and he breaks out, which I thought was kind of funny. I'm like, yeah, it just seems like, they're just so nonchalant. They kidnapped him, throw him in there, and the sheriff's like, we got him, he's captured. No, I'm like, really? This is like a fucking, like, this guy survived that entire ordeal in part one. You think a couple of chains, and he just bust out like no problem, Fucking clubs his way out and everything. So yeah, they decided, to create a bride for him. And I don't know who plays him, but I like the villain, or the bad professor, or whatever. I really dug, that character. And to me, I don't know, Colin Clive, I think, was the dude who played Dr. Frankenstein, and I liked him in the first one. I did not care for his performance here. I don't know, he just seemed like a little bit of a homo. Like, he's just crying and whining and just bitching the whole time, and I don't know, he got on my nerves pretty quickly, and I was just like, fuck you, like, we could just kill that guy, and then, have the professor, do the rest of the story, but I guess, it is for another Frankenstein. You gotta have the guy whose name is Frankenstein in the movie, I guess. But yeah, no, so, they decide to make the bride, which is just an epic scene, like, even, I bitched about how, like, it's so brief. It is great. Like, I love seeing them, bring the bride there. Elsa Lancaster, I think that's how you pronounce her last name, Lancaster? It don't matter. Who also played Mary Shelley in the very beginning of the movie, plays the bride. And, yeah, just iconic. If anything else, watch this movie just for the fact that it's an icon in horror cinema. But yeah, of course, Frankenstein gets it. And you really feel bad for him. Like, this bitch gets brought back to life, and then she's, like, choosy on who she's gonna bang. Fuck you. Like, come on, Frankenstein's a good guy. Good guy with a heart. A heart that may not be beating or anything, but goddammit, he has heart. And so I was just like, typical woman. Blow that fucking place up. And he does. He just blows it up. Oddly enough, kills her. Apparently she was not as strong as him, because he comes back 3, 4, 5 more times in the series, and she doesn't make another appearance at all. So, yeah. Fucking awesome. So, yeah, I recommend it. I recommend any of the Universal movies. If anything else, just to see where horror came from, I guess you can say, or at least, I will say I do think the Hammer movies, Simon Terrell commented on the top 3, and he's like, he prefers the Hammer series, and I agree with him. It's definitely more amped up, but like I said, for that gothic look, and it's really good stuff. So yeah, Bride of Frankenstein, thumbs up, check it out. Up next, we got the silent classic, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Caligari. Yeah, I'm going to stammer that name like a million times. We're calling him Dr. Jeeves. Anyways, the storyline here is that this dude is like a traveling carny, and his act is, I'm going to butcher his name too, the somberist? I'm horrible. I can read, guys. I have pronunciation problems. He has a fucking sleeping person with him, and then of course he wakes up and he can tell the future or whatnot. His name's Caesar. We're going to just call him Caesar from here on out. And anyway, so however, people are winding up dead, and they are somehow linked to Dr. Caligari. And so, like initially it's the guy who hits up the permits, who's just a complete dick to Caligari early on, and he winds up dead. Later on, when they're at the carnivore or whatever, it's someone asks, like, when will I die? Which I thought was kind of an odd question. Like, who wants to know when they're going to die? Like, even if you had the knowledge to know when you're going to die, do you really want to know? I personally wouldn't, but this guy's like, when will I die? And of course, Caesar's just like, you will die before dawn or something like that. And he's like, oh, what the hell? And then sure enough, Caesar makes it happen. He shows up. So yeah, that's basically the premise here. And I will be honest with you, reason, because I owned it previously, before I watched it. I've seen it before. The only reason I have even bothered with this movie at all, and it has nothing to, don't get me wrong, I love silent cinema. I am a fan. Nosferatu, Phantom of the Opera, two excellent fucking films. And I always heard great things about this, but the main pushing point to get the fan to watch this movie was, if anybody who's a Rob Zombie fan remembers the Living Dead Girl video, it was the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Like, it was just stuff, Rob Zombie was Caligari, and of course Sherry Moon Zombie was this Living Dead Girl, who I guess was supposed to be the female version of Caesar or whatnot. But anyways, I remember seeing that, and then when I saw a picture, I'm like, oh shit, that's where he got it from or whatever. And I was like, I want to see it now. Like, I want to see this, this movie. And every time I watched it, I really dug it. I really did. And watching it now, not much has changed. It's a really good movie. The one thing I love the most, and it's the one thing that everybody fucking hates. Alright, we all know this has got a lot of German expressionist art direction, I guess you can say. Fucking angles and weird, out of proportion, shit. Like, there's a railing to the stairs and it's all, the houses are kind of crooked and shit. And don't get me wrong, it looks cool. I like how everybody's like, what's this German expressionism? And I'm like, is it? Or is it just the fact that they're just retarded and can't draw over there? I'm going to go with the second. I know, I'm being blasphemous now. Oh, Phantom, you just don't understand. That's just how they did things. Well, guess what? It looks ridiculous. Like, who actually, I'm going to make it look like this. And the one thing that everybody bitches about when it comes to this movie, because, this movie is highly regarded as, like, a classic. Like, this is horror. Like, that top rung of horror, this is, up there. I read that people hated the fact that, it opens up with a guy who's telling a story. He's the main character, and of course it's not really his girlfriend, but the girl he likes is being targeted by Caesar, and it was his friend Alan who gets killed by Caesar. It's him telling the story, and then at the end, of the story, he's like, and then Caligari was put away because he was mad, and he's still ranting to this day. You find out that this dude telling the story is actually in the insane asylum. Like, Caesar's there, and the girl's there, and of course Dr. Caligari is the doctor. And everybody hated it, and I guess they threw it in there because it's like, this movie looks too weird. We gotta say this is all a nightmare. Like, this is why, this will explain why shit's out of proportion, and we'll just say it's the things of, the inner workings of a madman's imagination. And everything else is just, this is the framing device. And people hated that. They're like, well, why? Reality could be like that. I'm like, yeah, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I'm looking at it, I'm just like, it just looks to me like people are reading too much into German expressionists. I truly think it's people over there didn't have any perception. He's drawing the background for the houses, and it's supposed to be a straight line, and he's just kind of, he's a little drunk. I don't know, but he's just going up with it. It's crooked as shit, and he's like, what are you doing over there? That looks crooked. It's soft. We can't do that. He goes, oh, no, man. I'm expressing myself. And I'm German. German expressism right here. And they're like, that's fucking brilliant. And they just threw all that shit together. Don't get me wrong. It looks cool. It does look cool. And it inspired, it actually inspired, Bride Frankenstein. And the original Frankenstein. They definitely, took from that gothic kind of look, that the points and the arches and shit like that. All the way up to Tim Burton. Tim Burton, you can see it in his work today. However, the difference between Frankenstein and Tim Burton's work is it looks realistic. Yes, they have the points, the arches, the angles, and all that shit. Guess what? You can live in those things. You could not live in any of the structures built in this movie right here. Man. We live in the ghetto, people. Sorry, the cemetery. We had some neighbors move in, and the crime has gone through the roof. But no, it's literally, it was just like, it looks ridiculous. I'm sorry, it looks cool, I guess, from an art standpoint. But for it to be legit, no, I'm sorry. So I'm okay with and I love the twist. Everybody was like, oh, it's horrible. I did not see that coming. From a where the fuck this movie came out? Was it 22? 1919, what it says. I don't think it's 1919, though. I think I read it somewhere. Anyway, it don't matter. I love the twist there. I remember watching it for the first time, and thinking good movie anyway. I was following along with it. I loved the direction of it. I loved when they're reading the diary or the journal. I won't call it diary. We'll call it journal. The journal of Dr. Caligari, and how he talked about how he decided to adopt this Caligari thing, and he's waiting for a dude to come in who's sleeping a lot or whatever, sleeping coma. And when the guy finally snaps and he starts seeing like the animation Caligari's pop up all around him, dude, that is fucking awesome. Like, I love that. And then just to end it with, this crazy twist where you find out this dude's actually he's insane. And he's the one who's in the, dude, I love that. Like, I was like, holy shit. So yeah, I'm a fan of it. I love the look of Caesar. And to me, you can tell it's one of the other things that Burton probably got from German Expressionism. Who directed this? Robert Wine? Doesn't matter. Because you look at Caesar, he has that Johnny Depp from Edward Scissorhands kind of look to him. I like that. I mean, without the Scissorhands, of course. But no, he just has that. I love that. It's like a goth look. They created goth before goth was even a thing, and I dug it. I definitely like the look to that. So yeah, I don't know what's really to say about it that hasn't already been said. Really good stuff. It is silent. If you can't do silent movies, then you probably ain't gonna like it. As you can see, I'm here by myself on the couch. My girlfriend she don't like black and white movies, and she absolutely despises silent movies. So yeah, it was a no-go for her. This is a double feature. It was just a no-go. So yeah, but I definitely dug it. I say check it out. The version I got, and I'm not sure, but because it's an old fucking movie. Some of the title screens were missing clearly, because you can just tell when it would, like someone would say something, it would cut to when because in silent movies it's like, and then they would cut to the titles of what they're saying, or the narration. And a lot of those scenes look very crisp and new. Like, they didn't have that grindhouse look. I won't say grindhouse. I know it's not grindhouse, but that age quality didn't have it. It looked pretty fresh. And then in one scene, it looked like it was like they messed up. So instead of having the black background with the white lettering, it was like a blue background. And it was just like this different font and everything. I was like, huh, you guys didn't double check that shit? So I'm not sure if all versions are like that or not, but my copy is. So, but other than that, I mean, the story's all here. It's really good. I definitely dig it. Yeah. I just don't get blown away by the whole German Expressionism thing. I mean, it looks cool and all, but I'll say that shit for my paintings. I don't give a fuck if it's in my movies or nothing. So yeah, Bride Frankenstein, check it out. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, check it out. Yeah, I'm giving them high marks. I am the movie fan.